Well, if you look at any of my character work as Jinkx Monsoon, I actually did a web show for a little bit that's on funnyordie.com that's based on my relationship with my mom, where I have another friend of mine play an adult gay male son, and I play his mom, and you can never really tell if she's a real woman or a drag queen, and if these two people are actually mother and son, or if they're just insane people who live together. But that's basically me exploring my relationship with my mom, because she was just, I don't know, she's very young at heart, and she loves being popular. Even though she's really shy and awkward, she just really loves it when she's telling a story and everyone's listening to her. But when she notices everyone's listening to her, then she does something really weird because she can't handle all that attention. So I don't know how else to explain her. And then both Richard and I say, because we're Jerick Hoffer and Richard Adriessen, and then we both have stage personas that are basically just, you know, it's me taking certain characteristics and certain traits to a new level, and that's Jinkx Monsoon. Yeah, and major scales. So it's kind of like we turn the dial up on our own personalities to become our stage personas. Then we turn the dial up on those personalities to create Dr. Dan and Kitty Witless.
For this particular show, yeah.
Yeah, so we both say that it's first we have to get into our stage personas, and then our stage personas take over from there and play the characters. Which is a little convoluted, but in my head it works because there's a moment where I put all my makeup on and I see Jinkx, and then I put the wig on and I put Kitty's specific costumes, you know. Kitty has her own wig and her own jewelry and her own wardrobe. And it's kind of like, I see the transformation between me just being in drag and then me being in drag as an even more elevated character.
You know, you really have to go to art school for 80,000
Yeah.
dollars to know why it's necessary to just stress it.
All right, for those of you who have not attended a show, there is audience interaction. That might depend on where you want to sit. So let's talk about that audience interaction. How do you select a person from the audience? What strategies do you use if you get a dud? Or if somebody wants to get into the act?
Well, if someone wants to get into the act, we try to figure that out as soon as possible because we'll avoid that person.
Yeah.
A little more.
It's very hard. I mean, when I go out looking for the boy to use for the lap dance,
Spoiler alert!
it requires a little bit of physicality on their part. So, you know, for my peace of mind and for my safety, I find someone who I feel like is, you know, I'm just looking for a young, fit guy who I think can support my weight and can handle me roughing him up a little bit. I wouldn't want to hurt anyone in the process. And we use the techniques we learned at school to effectively make it look like we're doing stage combat or whatever, but, you know, everyone's safe at all times. So yeah, I try to find someone young and fit, and then try to find something about them that we can then berate them about on stage.
Are they wearing ugly pants? Do they have glasses that we can take off?
Yeah. Or do they have a weird hairstyle or something about them that we can exploit on stage, lovingly, of course. And then
ugly pants, love.
I ask them a few questions before I even pull them up on stage, like what's your occupation and stuff like that, just to kind of gauge, is this the person who's just going to answer my questions, or is this the person who's going to try to be funnier than me? And I find that you can oftentimes shoot them down right away by, if I ask you, like, what's your occupation, and he goes, oh, well, I do a little bit of this, so I do a little bit of that. Yeah, I know that right away. Or if he says a joke like, well, actually, I'm homeless, and then, like, maybe two people in the audience chuckle, and I go, see, you know, I actually had a joke prepared, but you told your own, and you got 2 laughs. Was it worth it? You know? And then that'll shut him down right away. If they can then, you know, get it and work with us. But then sometimes they'll continue making jokes and then we just move on, right? You know, it's just all about, you have to let them know you're in control at all times. It's kind of like working with children and dogs.
Do you have an absolute favorite audience interaction? interaction?
Well, one of my favorites, I don't know if it was your favorite, but when we were doing the restaurant scene, there, we invited a gentleman up who was extremely built physically. He was just huge and very nice guy. When Jinkx went to sit down in his lap for Girls Just Want to Have Fun, he took her and began to bench press her above his head, up to here, or her entire body, and for a moment we just had to stop the song and just
But he held
horrible.
me there, and then I sang a good
Yeah.
portion of the song between him and the ceiling.
That was pretty amazing.
And then my favorite is actually because it's a terrible story, but another thing is when we pull the boy up on stage and I'm putting my fingers in his mouth and stuff. That's basically to test how far I can go with him, to know, like, because while we're talking to him, we can play around with him a little bit and test him out. But we can't do that in the song. Like, I have to know exactly how far I can go with him and how far he's going to let me, like, play with him during the song, because it's going to make an awkward moment in the song if all of a sudden he won't let me put my fingers in his mouth or something. So we have these tricks to kind of test how far this person will let us go. And I pull this boy up in Australia on stage, and I'm looking out forward, and he's in front of me, and I start putting my fingers in his mouth and doing these weird things. And his mom stands up and screams, "No, Jinkx, he just had oral surgery!" And I look down, and sure enough, he's got blood coming out. And so I had to tell him, "Why did you even volunteer? And how are you here right now?" So we sat him back down, and we picked a different boy from the audience. I'll never forget the desperation in his mother's voice. He loved it.
And mind you, this is coming off of years of having a 0 to maybe 1 issue with this number, so it was really amazing.
Well, Richard, I read when I was doing research yesterday that it takes Jerick 2 hours to become Jinkx, and I assume that you've watched this transformation.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I would like you to describe what some of those highlights of that transformation are like.
Highlights, it's an interesting word. It's all pretty much, solo stuff when you're getting the makeup on and doing your thing. That's all pretty, par for the course for acting. The only thing is that there are certain things that, vocally you need to warm up as well. And you can do some of that while you're putting on your makeup. And I've found that, in the past, Jerick has had a good amount of time of really working his voice during putting on the makeup. So you can be right next to him, adjusting your outfit, putting the last touches on whatever your hair is looking like, and suddenly hear this loud, come right at your ear, and you're not always expecting it. That is more fun. That's an interesting thing.
My favorite is we were doing this show in Provincetown, and we shared a house that we were living in with me and him and his makeup artist and our assistant, and there would be days that I'd be in my bathroom putting on my makeup and singing at the top of my lungs, warming up for the show. Then I'd come into the kitchen to get a glass of water, and he'd go, "I think you're warmed up now." Save it for the show, please. Because I get in the zone, and then it's not even about the show anymore. It's just me singing into my makeup brushes by myself.
So that reminiscent of, I think I read as a janitor, you used to put headphones on and then sing while you were doing.
Yeah, well,
That's a lifelong addiction.
I would work in the mornings when no one else was in the school, so I'd have the performance hall to myself, and I'd be cleaning it. And at the time, I was really, almost all 4 years, I was obsessed with Sweeney Todd, so I would start my morning singing the entirety of the Sweeney Todd soundtrack by myself, playing every character while I'm cleaning. Singing at the top of my lungs is probably one of the things that makes me happiest in my life.
Well, I don't know, I know things have gone wrong in performances before, because I saw one were you performing when you were kind of doing a striptease as Mama Rose, I believe, or from Gypsy, and you couldn't get the corset off.
Yeah.
A lot of people trying to help her in the audience. Finally, I called someone from backstage to get the corset out.
Because I was asphyxiated. It was actually a bad thing.
One of the advice Jinkx said was, don't wear your tightest corset, and then have trouble getting it off. So, but has anything gone wrong in your run at the rep organization while you're doing
It's funny you should mention that, because just last night, I had new mics on my face, and they're taped down here, they're taped behind your ears, and then they're taped on your neck. And it's strong tape, so it doesn't generally go anywhere. I'm also a big sweater on stage, so after a couple of songs, I'm perspiring, and there's a lot of makeup and a lot of lights, and it all contributes. I was using a different powder, ladies, come on, with me on this one. I had a different powder on that night, and it was causing the tape to not stick as it normally does. So that plus the sweat and these new microphones, about halfway through the second act, one of my little mic pieces just goes, and it's hanging up here, and as I move around, I'm in the middle of the number, and I just take it off, and I stick it under my jacket, and I keep going on, and then I feel this one start to go, it's fixed up. I've got these two
He was taking his bows and the mic's going.
and as I'm trying to say lines, I'm doing it like
Yeah,
this.
he's like, oh God, the show.
So it does happen. Also, there have been times where I've used a different eyeliner that, for some reason, between the sweat and the hairspray, it starts making my eyes water, and then the eyeliner started running. By the end of the show, I had black tears going down my face.
Well, and it was also kind of like, because whatever eyeliner it was picking up like, it was, the eyeshadow and the eyeliner were looking kind of more maroon on stage, so it would like literally look like stigmata. Like, it was hard.
Which takes the show to a much darker place.
One time he had a bug land on his hair, a big moth, and he had so much hairspray in it that the moth couldn't get off. I'm literally like doing scenes with him trying to like, what is that? And then finally I see
we were worried it was a tick for a little while.
Well, I've read...
You'd think more would have happened with her.
No, I'm fine.
Well, Jerick, you mentioned that your Sweeney Todd addiction. I also read that you want to play the witch Into the Wood, which we all saw, those of us who went to Ashland recently, they were doing Into the Wood, and I saw the movie previews that are coming out too. So you want to play the witch, and you want to play Mama Rose in Gypsy, and you wanted to be the Saturday Night Live host.
Yeah.
So you know what's next, and are any of those in the...
Well, none of those are in the works quite yet, but basically, I mean, I just have, it's kind of my artist dream is that if I ever make it to Broadway, and if I'm ever even nominated for a Tony, I want it to be for one of my favorite female roles in Sondheim, because I feel like his characters, well, it's like, Sondheim's my favorite composer, and I of course have male roles in the shows that I'd like to play, but if I'm being honest with myself, like really it's his female roles that I'm attracted to as an actor. And since I've played so many female roles, it's always been my goal to show that just like a female actor can play a male role and make it sincere and earnest, and it doesn't have to be about the woman dressed up as a man. I want to show that the same thing can work vice versa for a man playing a female role. It doesn't always have to be for comedy or slapstick effect. It can be because this actor found something in that character that really deserved to be shared with people. And it shouldn't matter about the gender of that person. So my dream is to one day win a Tony for a Sondheim female role. So, yeah.
We've also had a dream in the back of our heads that will probably never happen. But if at some point we manage to have enough money to purchase a bed and breakfast, we'd like to turn it into a bed and breakfast that serves meat pies.
At 7 every night, you come and you sit for dinner, and there's an organized 3-course meal. but we act out Sweeney Todd around
Yeah.
you while you're eating. So, and there would be scenes going on out in the courtyard between the lovers, and so you kind of have to like look over there, and then Mrs. Lovett will come swinging in and like serving you the dinner, you know, while she's singing "Nice to See You, dear." So, so that's our dream, one of our pipe dreams. But
So if you have any leads, let us know.
But actually, we are, just between the two of us, we are booked until this time next year.
Wow.
We are. So I don't know if any of those projects can come up, but we're doing the album, we're doing our holiday show, we're going to Europe, Australia, we're doing the Vaudevillians, we're writing a new Vaudevillians.
We've got a video game coming out.
So we're pretty booked up.
Yeah, no, it's not a joke.
That's not a joke.
But both of us have, because of the Vaudevillians, we both turned down solo projects because we've been so committed to, you know, with Australia especially and New York, we've been committed to laying down things where we can come back annually and keep experiencing these things and keep seeing how far we can take it and build it. But I think about this time next year, once we've had this whole long run together, we'll probably take a little break from the Vaudevillians, and we'll probably each look for. Richard just had to turn down a project he wanted to work on, so.
In Seattle.
Yeah, and so I think both of us are ready to come back to Seattle for a little bit and work on some theater projects separately.
Yay!
Yeah, and, or together, we could be together still. But I think we're both ready to come back to Seattle and work on a couple other projects and explore a little bit.
Well, there's a night coming up this Saturday night that I believe you're up for a Genius Award.
Yeah.
And that's from The Stranger, the Genius Award, and the criteria is to call attention to artists who haven't already been recognized with the Genius Award, who live in Seattle, and who are great. So I think the criteria have been met. You've got some competition, Valerie Curtis Newton and the Satori Group. Now, I'm familiar with Miss Newton because she did a black cast production of All My Sons at the Intiman that several years ago that some of you may have seen. And she also did the Intimate Summer one, Trouble in My Mind, which I saw and was excellent. I'm not familiar with the Satori Group, so I wanted to congratulate you, wish you luck, say water up a duck's back, doesn't go well. But how did it feel to be nominated, and what do you think of your competition here?
Well, I love the Satori Group, and I have a lot of friends there, but we had to all showcase examples of our work and do an interview speaking about our work. And when I saw Valerie speak, I felt the same way I felt when I was competing on Drag Race, where in the end it was between me and two other people, and one of them had become my best friends. And I felt like, well, I really want to win, but if I don't win, I hope Alaska wins. So watching Valerie speak about her work, I was so moved that I, in the moment, was just like, well, give it to Valerie, please. She was so amazing. The Satori Group had wonderful things, too, but watching Valerie was just something else. So I feel the exact same way. I really want to win this thing, and if I don't, I hope Valerie wins. So.
And we've worked around and with Satori for a little bit.
Well, tell us a little bit about that group, because I wasn't familiar, and I don't know if anybody else in the audience.
They're a theater group in town that performs a lot of fringe, more experimental stuff.
And ensemble-generated stuff.
Yes.
But the big thing about theirs, and probably why you may not have seen something of theirs, is they're so experimental and they're so committed to their unique forms of working that they work all year on one show. And sometimes the show is performed for one person at a time. Like it's that deep into the work that they're doing that maybe you haven't seen their show because there were only 12 tickets to it. You know?
I don't feel so.
Yeah.
So, we have a few minutes left, and I'd like to turn it open for some of the rest of the SRO members' questions. Linda?
I just wanted to ask a little bit more about your bookings coming up for New York and Australia. What you're going to be doing, what kind of theaters? Australia in a tent in somebody's
Yes,
theater?
it's
So what
exactly
are you doing?
it's exactly like that. From a theater to a tent and everything in between.
Okay.
We have a holiday show, our holiday show coming up this winter. It's going to be back in New York at the theater we performed in, and we'll also be touring through London, Glasgow, and Dublin. as well.